All right, here's another installment of Steve's Auto Care. All right, anyway, today we're changing out the blend air door actuator on an 06 F-150. This is my own truck, and give you some pointers to make this a little easier. All right, pull out the radio, pull out the upper tray, which is there. I'm not going to go into detail of the radio because it's fairly self-explanatory, and these trucks are old enough that everybody has aftermarket radios. I am one of them. I have a double DIN Pioneer system that covers that. But you pull the valance, I forget the name of the piece that covers the radio stack, but you pull that out and the HVAC controls come out with it. And same with the any accessories you have on that bottom panel. Mine's been changed over to a power port and an off-road light, and then on this side it's a the connections to the stereo for auxiliary. Anyway, all that comes out with the bezel piece, and then the climate control comes out with it. So you got to disconnect that, get rid of your radio, and then that gives you access to these two bolts here. That removes the tray. So you undo the bolts and then you lift it up and pop it out like that. Now, what most guys won't do from this point that I feel is pretty essential is removing the glove box, which is 2 screws, and then removing this panel here. Now, there is a 7mm bolt here, and there's one here that you got to get from the back side. This panel comes out. Once this panel comes out, you have access to the 3 bolts that hold the airbag system. Before you take those bolts out, and you know, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to do it anyway, make sure your car is disconnected from the battery, and wait at least 2 minutes before you disconnect the airbag to let the airbag module de-energize. At least 2 minutes. Some people it's longer, but 2 minutes is fine. All right, but I'm going to show you this. We're going to come out here, and I want you to see this through the windshield. So I can get my finger in here. There it is. All right, that is a plastic rivet, and there's one over there. Get my finger right there. They have to come out. So there and there. Now, the ones I have are made to be removed, but the original ones, they look like this. So they're kind of a pain in the butt to get out, but you got to get those out. Once you get those 2 out, then there's 1 and then 2 and 3 10mm bolts, and then the airbag has to come back a little bit, and then it comes up. Once you get it up, then you have a connector on this side of the bag and another connector on this side of the bag, because you got to remember these are 2-speed airbag modules. Okay, so once that gets done, then you have access to your blend air door actuator, which is over here. You have 1 screw here, 1 screw that's over here, and then another screw in the back. Now, the one in the back, you get to it from removing the airbag. And there's the tool that I use to get it out. It's a long extension, 1/4 inch, and that comes out. Now, a moment of modules here, and I don't, oh, here it is. I got it. I got to show you. There's the actuator. Now, the one on Fords, the Ford one, the, I don't know, stud seems to be part of the actuator, which is important. This one's a Dorman, and I've already have replaced it twice, so I'm now replacing it a 3rd time. The Dormans, the stud is not part of the module or the actuator. It comes off, which makes installation really, really easy. However, going over bumps, what will happen is the stud, which goes this way, get it in there. Okay, so it sits like this. See how I just fell out. Going over bumps, it will fall out, and then see if I can get it to. You can kind of see a little roughness there. It will be barely touching the actuator, and the actuator will skip on it, and then you'll get stuck in heat mode or stuck in cold mode. Now let's talk about that. There is no internal stop for the gear inside here. So if it goes past where the door should stop it, the motor will keep going, and then it will lose its internal connection to the actual electrical motor. Okay, so if it goes past, say, too far cold, it will stay in that cold because it will lose the electrical connection and not return back, and vice versa. If it goes back to hot, if it goes full, it will stay stuck on full hot, and that's an indication that the stud has come out, because these are using the door, the blend air door itself, to stop it. So if you don't have a good stud, if the stud is just barely hanging in here and the door doesn't stop the motor just keeps turning until it loses its internal connection. It's a sliding potentiometer, and if it slides past its point, then these are no good. And just to FYI, this little arrow here is neutral. That's the very center from hot and cold. So when you get the new one, it's going to be pointing to that arrow. So you're going to want to take your door and use a screwdriver or something to turn it full hot, turn it full cold, cold, and then set it up in the center, and that will make installation really easy. But this total, because I've done this a lot of times, it took me an hour to do it. So someone who hasn't done this before, maybe 3 hours, 4 tops. I don't see it being much harder than that. Don't be worried about the airbag, because you've already disconnected the battery. You've let the energy drain out of the modules, and once you disconnect it, you're free to go. In fact, I'll tell you the truth, I didn't even disconnect my battery, but you should, if this is new to you. You don't want to have any mistakes and have that go off, because it goes off, hits the windshield, and comes forward. It will break the windshield at the same time. So not only are you out of a $500 airbag module, you're out of a windshield too, plus any other damage. So there you are. The bolts are, I believe these are all 8mm. I think all of them are 7s, and the bolts for the actuator are 8s. All right, so there we are, and thanks for watching.